Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, a few words about this webinar technology. This platform allows our audience to be more involved with the presentation and, more importantly, allows you to watch this event the way you want to watch it. To begin, feel free to customize your webcast console. You can move windows around by dragging on the title bar or resizing your windows by clicking on the lower right corner of any window. You will notice a toolbar right at the bottom of your console. These buttons allow you to open and close widgets on your screen. Oh, and by the way, we invite you to get social. If at any time during our session today you hear something interesting, feel free to tweet it to your followers using the Twitter widget. If at any time you experience difficulties with the audio or advancing of the slides, simply press your F5 key or Command R on your Mac to refresh your webinar console. And you can download slides for this webinar by clicking on the green document icon on your screen. You can do this actually during the webinar and it won't interrupt the presentation. We'll be hosting a live Q&A session with the speakers at the end of this presentation, so don't forget to ask questions via the Q&A widget on that console, down at the bottom of the console. And if we're unable to get to all of the questions during our time, we will follow up with you after the event is concluded. And we appreciate your feedback, so please click on the survey icon and complete the form. Now, I'd like to introduce today's presenter. Ricky Drake is the Senior Product Manager, Aviator, Flight Deck Solutions for Boeing. So with that, let us begin.
So thank you so much for that introduction. And so, hello everyone, my name is Ricky Drake once again, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the Jeppesen Aviator application for you. So we have been doing a lot of research with our pilots and understanding pilots' use of EFB applications in the cockpit. And so with a lot of the research that we've gathered, we've understood that every pilot normally has in between 4 to 6 different EFB applications running on their tablet device in flight. They spend a lot of time switching between these applications, inputting the same data in multiple different places, and it just makes for a higher pilot workload. It slows down processes during flight, and is really a high potential for human input error. And so as a solution to solving this industry problem, what we have built is Jeppesen Aviator. So Jeppesen Aviator is our all-in-one EFB application that provides a centralized access to seamless integrated suite of EFB tools, such as a briefing tool, weather tools, document viewer tools, and also a pilot utility tool suite, all in one application with an intuitive and simple interface and a streamlined workflow. The whole purpose of Aviator is to not only combine several of these EFB tools into one cohesive suite and a cohesive ecosystem, but also to enable the ability for these applications to share common data between them so that we can automatically populate data for the pilot in specific applications and help to integrate back-end solutions as well. So with Jeppesen Aviator, once again, we have that integrated suite of EFB tools all in one place with that common user interface to provide important key flight information at a glance to the pilot and allow them to easily navigate back and forth between applications while always maintaining the context of what data is being shared across the entire suite of applications. So Jeppesen Aviator as an application has 4 main modules. So the pilot always starts off at the Aviator dashboard, and off to the left in the image, you can see that we have Aviator at the top. That's the dashboard view. And then at the bottom, we have the 4 modules contained within Jeppesen Aviator. So we have our flight briefing module, which is where the pilot will brief their flight package in a fully digital format. We have the weather module, where the pilot will be able to brief their weather data and weather charts. We have our Aviator Content Viewer module, which is where the pilot can view, annotate, and highlight documents. And then we also have our Pilot Utility module, which contains a converter, a calculator, timer, and stopwatch function built directly into the Aviator application. And then in addition to that, Jeppesen Aviator also integrates a lot of our Boeing and Jeppesen EFB applications. The main applications that we integrate with currently is the Jeppesen Flight Deck Pro for charting, Boeing Onboard Performance Tool for performance calculations. We have our Boeing Flight Deck Advisor application, and then our Jeppesen Aviator SDK allows for the integration of third-party EFB applications as well, all which equal a happy pilot. Starting with the Aviator Briefing module, our Aviator Briefing module provides integrations with all flight planning providers, such as Lido and Sabre. We have a smart navigation menu that allows the pilot to clearly see different sections of their flight package around flight plans, around the NOTAMs, the NOTALKs, the load sheets, and even dispatch weather. We do automated calculations and error checking as the pilot is entering in actuals, and we update the plan values from the flight plan. We have the ability to sign off specific sections of the flight plan around the flight plan itself, journey logs, load sheets, and even NOTALKs. Pilot can record actuals, and then as a flight is flown and that flight is closed, all of the data from that flight package, including actuals, will be sent back to the ground for post-flight reporting. And currently, we support the ARINC 633-1 and -2 formats. The next module we have is the Jeppesen Aviator Weather module. And so currently, this is the weather module that we use, Jeppesen Weather, to provide weather data and charting data directly to the iPad for the pilot. We provide the data in both textual raw and decoded format. We provide weather charts for the region that the pilot is flying over. We provide multiple regions of weather depending on the pilot selection, which I'll talk about later on in the presentation. We have the ability to not only use Jeppesen weather as our source of weather data, but in the future, we're also using WSI weather data across all of our applications in the suite. And then we also have a route overlay feature where we generate the route atop of your weather maps so that you can see both in one view. We also have our document viewer module within Aviator. And so in this module, we utilize JDM Pro to deliver the folders and documents to the tablet device. We have both the ability to view up to 7 documents at a time. We have highlighting functionality, annotation functionality. We show the effectivity of documents, and also we have a smart reconciliation of highlights and annotations when a new document or an updated document comes into the system. We also allow the pilot to switch in between day and night modes. They can schedule their night mode and switch in between horizontal and vertical scroll. And then we also have the ability to print documents as well. Last but not least, we have our Pilot Utilities tool, which is where we have built in a conversion tool, calculator, timer, and stopwatch. We are also built in a de-icing holdover time tool within this module. And as we consistently do our research and update the application, we're constantly polling pilots on what additional calculations or pilot-specific calculations are needed to be in this particular module. We also have redundancies that we have built into the Aviator application. The most important of which we have is the trip kit on demand integration. So for those who are not familiar with TripKit, TripKit is our 24/7, 365-day backup to Flight Deck Pro. And so normally a pilot would have to go to this TripKit website. They would have to then enter in all of their routing information, any alternates, enter in the type of charts that they would like, their coverage, and then generate a backup PDF file, which then needs to be exported to view for your flight. But what Jeppesen Aviator has done is we've actually built this trip kit integration directly into Aviator, so that you just simply load a flight onto the Aviator dashboard, hit the trip kit link, and then Aviator, since we already have the flight package and the routing data, we simply share that to the trip kit server, and then we automatically download your PDF directly into Aviator for that specific flight. So that regardless, you have your primary charting functionality and also your backup charting functionality all within one application. Another redundancy that we built into the system is our device-to-device sharing, where we have the capability of sharing flight plans, weather data, and trip kit documents all over Bluetooth from one device to another. All you have to do is simply tap on our share button on our Aviator dashboard, select the device that you would like to share the data with, and then click share to initiate that data sync. And then last but not least, Jeppesen Aviator, for this particular new release that we have in the iOS App Store right now, we have a software development kit where we enable third-party applications to integrate with the Aviator app. And so, like I stated earlier, we do integrate already with several Boeing and Jeppesen EFB application tools, but we want to also give your operations the capability to kind of plug and play the different tools that you need for your operation. And so through this SDK, it will enable data sharing between Aviator and any third-party EFB application. We have the integrated navigation between Aviator and the third-party application. And then we also offer a spot on the Aviator dashboard or panel to show data from that integrated application as well. So at this point, I would like to stop, and I would like to switch over to my actual iPad to do the Jeppesen Aviator demo. All right, so now that I have my iPad loaded with Jeppesen Aviator, I'm going to continue with the demo and show you live the functionality of the Aviator application. And so to start, at the very top left, we have our integrated menu. This integrated menu shows all the standalone applications that have integrated with our Aviator SDK or software development kit. And this portion of the application provides the seamless navigation between applications. So for example, I have Jeppesen Flight Deck Pro and Boeing OPT or onboard performance tool integrated with my Aviator application. And all I have to do to switch between applications is tap on that particular application, and you can see I was navigated directly to Jeppesen Flight Deck Pro. And then once in Flight Deck Pro, I can use the application as I normally do. If I would like to switch back to Aviator or another integrated application, I simply tap on the integrated menu that's in the exact same location in that top left-hand corner. You see I have the list of applications that are integrated with Aviator with the slight difference. So whenever you're outside of Aviator, you can see at the very top, we actually have a condensed view of the selected flight plan at the very top of the integrated menu, so that the pilot always maintains the context of what flight plan information and data is being shared across the EFB suite. I'm going to tap on Aviator to go back to the Aviator dashboard. Now to the right of our integrated menu, we have our flights drop-down menu. And so this is where all of the flight packages that were loaded from the flight planning system are listed in the Aviator app. So you can see I have several different ones loaded here. And you can see we have the flight package information at the top, and then in the gray box below each flight package is the individual flight plan. To select a flight plan, pilot would simply go to this search bar at the very bottom to add a flight. They would type in their flight number or call sign, and then they would see a list of all today's flights. Then we can also, if I scroll down, the pilot will also see any future flights that are available and past flights that are available from the flight planning system to load in the Aviator. To load a flight, all they have to do is tap on the flight package, hit add, and then Aviator will download that flight into our flights drop-down list. But to load a flight on the dashboard, all you have to do is tap on the flight plan, and then you can see the dashboard updates with that flight planning information. So at the top here, we have the flight number, we have the route, we have the time in Zulu. We also have the download queue, which shows the download of any data that is going on in the background of the Aviator application. And then in addition, we have the settings menu, which allows the pilot to configure Jeppesen Aviator to their liking. For example, they can change temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, change the flight planning provider service, or cut the content viewer panel on and off on the dashboard. We have the flight number and tail ID listed here. And then if I tap on this little blue caret here, you can see that it reveals our action buttons on the dashboard. And so the first of which is share. That is our share flight plan, trip kit, and weather data from one device to another. This is our device-to-device sync functionality. Simply tap on the iPad that you want to share the data with, click share button to initiate a share. The view plan button here actually navigates the pilot to our flight briefing module so they can view more detailed information around their flight plan. The sign functionality allows the pilot to actually sign the flight plan. And then the close button allows the pilot to close the flight, communicating all of the necessary data back down to the ground so administrators can do post-flight analysis. Next, we have our high-level routing information here. You can see we have our departure airport, location, date, and time here. We have the time en route, and I purposely loaded an old flight just so that you can see we always show the pilot if a flight plan that they load on the Aviator dashboard is expired or not. If it is expired, we show that badge. If it's not expired, we actually show the time en route. And then off to the right, we have the arrival airport, location, date, and time as well. We also have this show fuel and weights link that if you tap on it, the Aviator dashboard slides down to show additional information directly out of the flight plan around the aircraft type, weights, and even fuel information. To hide this additional information, you just simply tap on hide, and the dashboard hides that data. Next, below, we have our flight information panels around weather, around Flight Deck Pro charts, and then also around our documents. And so when you look at the weather panel here, you'll notice that we have these different tiles around the departure airport location, arrival airport location, and alternates. So with these panels, what we've done is we've lined these up in a specific way where everything on the leftmost side of the dashboard corresponds to your departure airport location. Everything in the middle corresponds to alternate or en route data. And then everything on the right corresponds to your arrival airport location. So when looking at a weather tile, you can see that we have the weather, we have ceiling and visibility information. And then if you tap on that tile, it'll show more detailed weather data around your METARs and TAFs. You can see for each METAR and TAF, we have the issue time. We also have the ability to switch between this decoded view or raw view of the weather data. At the bottom, we always show the last synced time, and then we have a manual refresh button here. Simply tap close to close that particular detailed weather view. And we also have a link here, the view and weather link, for the pilot to quickly be navigated into our weather module for more detailed data. Again, our weather source for our weather data is currently Jeppesen weather. Same weather that is used in Flight Deck Pro, because we wanted to maintain consistency across those two applications. And then in the future, we'll be moving over to WSI weather as well. Next, we have our Flight Deck Pro charting panel. And so in this panel, the pilot has the ability to share the route data from Aviator into Flight Deck Pro to automatically pull up their terminal charts for the departure and arrival airport locations. And then also they have the capability of tapping on this en route map to bring up the en route map in Flight Deck Pro. And so I'm going to tap on the en route map, and then you can see Aviator has navigated me directly into Flight Deck Pro and presented me with a load, save, decline menu. I tap on load. Aviator shares that routing information for the selected flight in the Flight Deck Pro and pulls up the necessary chart. If I tap on save, the route is saved in the route drawer. And then if I tap on decline, it'll act like I did nothing. So when I tap on load here, Aviator shares the data directly over to Flight Deck Pro. You can see that I didn't have to manually type in any of that data. And then I have my route loaded directly in Flight Deck Pro, and I can use this, the application of Flight Deck Pro the same way I normally would. In addition to sharing the selected flight on the Aviator dashboard, if I come and hit this routes drop down and hit flight plans, Aviator shares all of the flight plans that I showed you on the dashboard previously. So I have all of those flight plans that were in Aviator directly in Flight Deck Pro now. So now as a pilot, if I don't want to, I really don't have to go back to Aviator to load another route. All I would have to do is come here, select the particular new route I would like to load, tap on load. Aviator has all of that information shared to Flight Deck Pro already. You can see that the routing information updated, and now I have my updated route loaded in Flight Deck Pro. That simple. Okay. I'm going to navigate back to the Aviator dashboard. And then I talked about the trip kit information as well. Now that I've loaded, now that I have navigated back to Aviator from Flight Deck Pro, I want to bring your attention back to this Get Trip Kit link here. And so this is where we have the trip kit functionality integrated directly into Aviator. And so we have the route and the alternate information already from the flight plan. We already have your terminal and en route chart data and coverages that you use as a pilot. So then all you have to do as a pilot is select the specific terminal and en route charts data that you want to build your backup PDF file. Then you would select Get Trip Kit. And then once the trip kit is downloaded, we actually pin that trip kit to the bottom of the dashboard for quick reference. Okay. And just to show you what this content viewer panel does, these content viewer panels here actually show favorited documents out of our content viewer module so that the pilot doesn't have to go and search through a whole lot of documents to get to his favorited documents. So let's go over to the content viewer module. So in the content viewer module, this is the library view. And in this library view, you see we still maintain the Aviator title bar up at the top. We have all of the open documents in tab format here. And then this first tab is always the content viewer library view. So it allows the pilot to quickly get back to this view to view all the folders and documents loaded on the device. And then we have the actual folders and any available documents that are not contained within any folders listed in this view. You have the ability to switch between this folder view and a list view. Each tab is a separate document. You can have up to 7 documents open at a time. All of the folders and documents can be sorted either by aircraft. You can filter between the standard or favorited documents. And then you can also sort this view by alphabetically, by date, or by recently viewed. So I'm going to go to this list view, and then you can see here that some of these folders and documents that are listed here have locks next to them, and others don't. This is signified, the lock signifies that these particular folders and documents are loaded by JDM Pro. And so we chose JDM Pro as it's the same backend system that many of our customers use for Flight Deck Pro. And so you can utilize JDM Pro to deliver any folders or documents directly to an assigned device. And so again, when that happens through JDM Pro, we always show a lock next to those folders or documents to signify that the pilot cannot delete or change or alter these in any kind of way. Now you can still do annotations and highlights and things like that on them, but we don't want the pilot deleting these. To add a new folder, all you would have to do is tap on the plus sign, type in the folder name, tap create folder, and then you can see we have that new folder listed there. And then the pilot in this view can either side load or move different documents into this folder as they see fit. So I'm going to go to a sample document that we have here, a little QRH document. And then you can see that from this view, we can do single page view or multi-page view. We have the ability to bookmark pages. We have the ability to do highlights. You can also do annotation. You have print functionality. You even have the ability to search. So for example, I search for engine, and then you can see that we have the document title. We have the first three instances of where Aviator has found that search criteria that I entered. And then I always have this show more link to show every instance within that specific document of where the search criteria shows up. If I wanted to go to any one of these specific sections, I simply tap on it and Aviator navigates me directly to that page. In addition, not only can I search any of the open documents, I can also search all documents within the Content Viewer library. And then I have the ability to filter my search between all text, any highlighted text that shows that search criteria, or any annotated text that shows my search criteria. We also give the pilot the capability to rotate the documents right and left, put the document in night mode, and switch between horizontal and vertical scroll. And I want to bring your attention over here to the left to this little tab. And when you pull that out, you can see that we have a table of contents view for the entire document. And so any time that you want to jump to a specific page, let's say like this electrical page, you just simply tap on it, tap on that particular subsection that you want to brief, and then you're navigated directly to that section. But not only do we index the document itself, we index any bookmarks that were made on that document, any highlights, and also any annotations that we put in. Now, one of the requests that we were getting from a lot of pilots is that they wanted the ability to delete any highlights or annotations specifically from this view. And so we've added that functionality in so that all you have to do is left swipe, and you see the delete button is revealed. Simply tap on delete, and that annotation or highlight can be deleted directly from this view. Okay. Last but not least, we have the ability to pin or favorite documents so that those documents appear on the Aviator dashboard. And so all I have to do is tap on these stars to favorite a document onto the Aviator dashboard. And so I'm going to tap on the dashboard, and you can see now I can slide the dashboard up to reveal the additional documents that I favorited here. And you can see that we always put a little blue indicator dot in the top left-hand corner next to the document title to show what the newly favorited documents were. Next, I'm going to use our bottom navigation here, which shows all of our internal modules, to go to our flight briefing module here. And so what you're looking at right now is the home screen for the Aviator flight briefing module, where the pilot has the capability to view their flight package in a fully digital format in more detail. Okay? So in this summary view, we have the ability to look at several different summary views of important information out of the flight plan around the route descriptions, ATC flight planning information, fuel, speed procedures, distances, altitude, and even weather. Okay? We also have these little information boxes to show additional information around certain data that is presented within the flight briefing module. We also have the ability, if I tap here, it reveals our navigation panel off to the left of the flight plan summary view. And so what we've done is we take the flight package that we download in the Aviator, and we kind of segment it into very important sections around the flight plan, any dispatch weather, NOTAMs, and then other important files. Each section has a blue indicator dot next to it so that it gives the pilot the context of what has been viewed and what hasn't. And in addition, from this view, we have the ability to sign different sections of the flight package. So we have the flight plan signature, journey log signature, and then even the ability to sign load sheets and NOTAMs that are provided out of the flight package. Okay. So one of the first sections that we have is a time summary, where we show all the off-block times, takeoff, taxi-out times, landing on block, taxi-in times, and total block times. We have the plan values directly out of the flight plan, and then we give the pilot the capability of entering in actuals in these fields here. All they would have to do is tap on that field, alter the time as they see fit, hit done, and then Aviator will do the automatic calculations to update data that is further down within the flight package list here. We also have our fuel and weights section. We always start with a fuel and weight summary block of information at the very top, with more detailed information around fuel and weights down at the bottom. For each section, we give the type of fuel here, the time, limit, and plan values. And then we also, again, give the pilot the opportunity to enter in any actuals. And so anytime that I enter in actuals as a pilot, you can see I can see the variance below each entry field. And again, Aviator will do the automatic calculations to update subsequent fields later on down in the flight plan. We also have our waypoints view. On this view, we have all of our waypoints for the flight. We have all the waypoints listed in one scrollable view for the pilot. We give the pilot the ability to expand all of these waypoints to view additional detail for those particular waypoints. So we have the plan, the estimated and actuals values available for the pilot. All of the data herein, each waypoint, is data directly out of the flight plan itself. I still have the capability of entering in any actuals, where again the variance is shown below. And as I start entering in any actuals data, you can see I have a little white indicator bar that is listed to the left of that particular waypoint. And so we always do that because specific pilots can come down and let's say they want to go and look at information around a completely separate waypoint that's further down in the list. And let's say that pilot in doing so forgets where they were last entering in data. So in our Aviator waypoints view, we added a little link here to snap the pilot back to the last waypoint they were entering in data on. So I can tap on that and it snaps me all the way back to that initial waypoint. What we can do as well is there's this little details link. We tap on that to show additional information out of the flight plan around that waypoint. And so you can see we have several different labels listed here, and these labels are configurable. So for your operation, you can change those labels as you see fit. We also have a pilot's remark section here so that you can actually do little notes for each waypoint. And in addition to that, we have two other functions off to the right of each waypoint. So first, this plus W is the ability to add a waypoint. So you can put in a name, and you can also type in the actual coordinates, and then Aviator always lets you know that you definitely need to enter in actuals to ensure that all the other planned estimates are accurate, so that you don't make any mistakes on subsequent waypoints. If you want to delete a manually added waypoint, you simply left swipe and hit delete. We also have the ability to do direct twos, and that's what the D with the arrow through it is. You tap on it, you tap the waypoint that you want to go directly to. We give you that same warning notice just to let you know that, hey, please make sure you enter in the correct actuals to ensure that any downstream estimates are accurate. I'm going to hit OK, and then you can see those two waypoints are skipped. To reverse skipping or doing a direct two, all you have to do again is left swipe, hit unskip, left swipe, hit unskip, and everything is back to the way it originally was within the flight plan. We also have the ability to view data around different alternates. You can tap on a particular alternate to get additional information around the planned runway, suitable period, and terminal procedure data for that particular alternate. And then you can click on the airport location to get airport data if it's available, or any NOTAMs data that is available for that location as well. We have the journey log, where as a pilot I can enter in my name. I can select a specific entry type, and these entry types are also configurable as well. Then I can type in whatever my incident was. And then I can continue my journey log by adding as many subsequent entries as I need to. And as I stated earlier, you can also tap on sign to electronically sign your journey log. Show that it's signed there. Next section we have is the dispatch weather section, where whether you click on a departure, destination, alternate, or en route section of this dispatch weather, you can see we have that weather data as decoded or raw. So same here with the METARs, we're raw here. I can switch to decoded. I have the issue time. And then I have all of my weather data in one clean scrollable list. Okay. Same with any destination weather or alternate weather. For your NOTAMs, you have all your textual NOTAMs in one list. You can tap on any individual NOTAM and then actually use these up and down arrows to go see any NOTAMs for any specific locations. In addition to that, we have any additional load sheets and NOTAM data that were listed here. And what we made sure to do is whenever you have these white PDF documents listed, if you want to take some of the content viewer functionality, you can actually tap on the three dots. You can rotate your document right and left from this view. You can also throw your documents into night mode as well here. And you can switch between the horizontal and vertical scroll the same way we did in our content viewer. I'm gonna go down to our internal module navigation once again, go to our next module, which is our weather module. And so again, the source of this weather data is the Jeppesen weather. And whether you're on origin, your destination, or your alternates view, you have the capability of viewing any of your METAR and TAF data. You have your issue times, just to make sure that the weather is current. And then for any en route data, you can view your SIGMET, AirMet, and PIREP data. You have the ability again to switch between raw and decoded at the very top. And then we also have 3 different tabs to switch between different ways to view your weather information. So this one is text weather. Next, we have your charts. And so these weather charts, what Aviator does is, since we already know the route of flight, we automatically download that region's weather so that the pilot can view those charts. And so we start off with these header sections to display the weather information. First of which is the prognostic charts to show any significant weather in the region. We also have any hazards around icing, around lightning, turbulence, even volcanic ash. We have any winds and temps aloft data for the region. And then, if available, any radar or satellite data as well. Each one of these charts, you can actually tap here and you can zoom in and out on the chart. You can also view the forecast. You also have the ability to switch between different flight levels here. And then you also have the capability of favoriting charts, just like we favorited documents out of the content viewer, so that within this module, any favorited chart is downloaded for offline use and then also stored in our favorites tab listed here at the top. And so also for any available charts where you want to play the forecast, you can hit the play button down here and then the actual chart will animate with the forecast. Last but not least, up at the very top, we have our interactive map. And so in this interactive map view, you can see that, let me turn it into day mode. You can see that what we have here is we have our weather maps, but on top of the weather maps, we have the route overlaid directly on top of that map. And so off to the left here, you can see that we have our NextRad weather data, icing, turbulence, and then even winds and temps aloft data. And so you can easily switch in between these two. And then you can switch between the different altitudes to show different data at different altitudes. And then again, at the very bottom, we have your altitude, we have the ability to play the forecast, and then we have the last updated date and time off to the right. Last but not least, we have our pilot utilities module. And this is where, again, we have the converter, the calculator, timer, and stopwatch functions built directly into the application. Off to the left here, you can see that we have several different categories that you can do conversions between, whether it be speed, length, weight, temperature, volume, pressure, and the most popular is time zone. And so you can go over here as a pilot, select add favorite cities, scroll and add a few of your favorite cities that you have. Hit done. And then all you have to do is select the different cities that you want to do your conversion between. For our calculator, we have a normal built-in calculator. But in the future, we're going to add in more pilot-specific calculations, such as de-icing timers, in addition to just other pilot requests that we receive. We also have a built-in timer and stopwatch function. And as a pilot, if I start a timer and I want to go and do some more briefing around my flight plan or other parts of my flight package, what I can do is do that while still maintaining context of my timer. As you can see, it's still running up in the Aviator title bar. And so even if I go back to the dashboard, my timer is listed here. I can tap on it to either pause the timer right here. I can refresh the timer, or I can stop it altogether. And so in closing, what I wanted to make sure that everyone understands is that with this Aviator application, we make sure to have all of our internal modules built in around main functions that our pilots use on a regular basis, around briefing, around weather, around documents, and then our pilot utilities, all within one application. And then also give the ability for your operations to integrate additional EFB tools, whether being Boeing, whether being Jeppesen, or whether being a third-party application, or even the ones that you may build internally. We have the ability to integrate all of those into one solution that best fits your operation. And so at this time, I would like to answer any questions that you may have.
Ricky?
So, thank you everyone for that. Are there any questions on what you've seen thus far on Jeppesen Aviator?
Ricky, we've got a question here from Segre. How can I load flight plan from Aviator to my FMC?
So right now, that is not a capability of Aviator. However, we do have that on our roadmap for early release next year. Do we have any other questions that you would like to submit? Anyone?
Just as a refresher, by the way, the Q&A widget is at the bottom of the screen. You may have to scroll down to find it, but that's where the easy application is to ask a question. And Jude, I have one very quickly, Ricky. I mean, there's a lot of very comprehensive applications and areas here. The software development kit is a very interesting element. You know, so operators can, I think, from what you're saying, you as an operator you can add in tools that are specific to your requirement, and there's if you're doing that, how do you make sure that interfaces with the dashboard you have and so on and so forth?
So with the Aviator SDK, what we make sure to do is we let every customer know that if they have their own built-in EFB application or a third-party application, that we would just integrate the SDK with that app. And what we do is we have our own SDK guidelines and requirements that we would pass over to the customer. We make sure to have a preliminary meeting around each application that wants to be integrated so that we can discuss exactly what data will be shared back and forth. And then once we get that particular requirements finalized, then we would pass over the Aviator SDK along with the instructions on how to integrate with it, and then support the customer in integrating that particular application. Depending on the requirements, that will determine what would show up on the dashboard of Aviator, and also what data we would share from Aviator to another application.
Okay, we have another one here from Rudolf Schnee from ITV Consult. How often is the weather and NOTAM information updated?
So you can actually set within Aviator how often the application pings our Jeppesen weather service for that information. I know in our configuration file we can change it. As a default right now, I believe it's about every 5 minutes. But we can change that, and of course that is dependent upon having connectivity in the flight.
Okay, and here I think this you may have answered that, but from Segre again, how can I get SDK to add my application on Aviator?
So in order to do that, you would have to contact me and my team. We would meet with you to look at your application. Then you would have to sign our SDK agreement. And then once that is signed, we can pass the SDK over to you to look over how to actually do that integration. So just contact me at ricky.j.drake@boeing.com.
That's great. And I've got another one here from Emilio Quiroga at ERA Tech. If you will have EFB to FMC capability coming next year, how will the modified flight plan be vetted by the airline or the company operations prior to upload?
Hi, this is Robin Wank from the Aviator team. That would depend on the airline's SOP in terms of the procedure they put in place to validate the flight plan that's being generated, and then the flight plan that's being pushed to the EFB that would be then integrated into the FMC. So I mean, all Aviator does is take the flight plan that's provided in the EFF package, and then we have a mapping to how to insert that data into the FMC. And so that's all we do is we map based on the airline's FMC rules to make sure that data makes it over.
Okay,
so
just a very quick. Sorry, Ricky, just very quick one as well, Ricky. What flight planning system connects to Aviator?
Any flight planning system that outputs the ARINC 633-1 or -2 standard, we can connect to. So I mean, we've connected to Lido, NavBlue, Sabre. We've done all those for customers thus far.
Okay. Do we have any more at the moment? Yep, we do. Nicky Lobato from 90 Octane asks, well, what features are planned in the future and when?
So some of the features that we have planned in the future are additional pilot utility tools. So in the presentation, I talked about the pilot utilities tool module where we have the converter, calculator, timer, and stopwatch. We've been doing a lot of interviews with pilots on what would be useful. And one of the ones that we continued to hear was holdover time utility tool or calculator. And so we're going to be adding that function to the pilot utilities tools to allow holdover times to be calculated and a timer to start and then be present on the Aviator title bar, regardless of where you are in Aviator. I already talked about as well, we have an FMC summary view that we're going to put on the dashboard to read important information from the flight plan to initialize the FMC on the aircraft. We also have, we've heard a lot of requirements around being able to sign the flight plan with your finger. So we already have the electronic signature where you put in the personnel ID and password, but we're also adding in the finger signature as well. We also, in the weather module, we have the interactive weather map function, which is currently in beta. That is going to be released next year as well, where we overlay the route of flight atop the chart. We actually get the charting data and everything from Flight Deck Pro, overlay the route on top of that, and then have weather layers that the pilot can select so that they can display not only the chart, the route, and weather all within one view. And then we're also adding in a e-reports function for customers to create their own forms with the Aviator application. We know that that's one of the final stages of making the flight deck completely paperless. And so since we've tackled briefing and documents and weather and utilities, we want to tackle the e-reports as well. So those are some of the main functions that we're working on alongside working on integrating with different AIDs as well.
Okay, we'd better really wrap it up there, Ricky. As we said before, if you're unable to get to all of the questions, we were unable to get to your question during our time, we will follow up with you after the event has concluded. And I'd like to remind you that an on-demand version of this event will be available on the Aviation Week website within the next 48 hours. And that's going to be there. It's be available for a year. So you'll be able to receive an email in 24 to 48 hours with a link to access that. But before we sign off, I'd certainly like to thank Ricky for his presentation, as well, of course, as our sponsor, Jeppesen, for this webinar. Thank you so much for attending, and have a wonderful remainder of your day.